Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive into where I start fishing when I go to a lake that I've never fished before. So how I determine where I'm going to start, what I'm going to throw, kind of the pattern that I'm going to figure out before I get to the lake. So let's dive in. I have actually never fished on Sylvan Lake in northern Indiana. It's located in Rome City. This is a lake with a reputation that is a great fishing lake. It's got walleye in it, it's got bass, it's got some perch, sunfish, crappie. It's a great ice fishing lake. So let's just look at this lake and see how I would fish it for bass and kind of what I'm going to throw and where I'm going to move around depending on what I find. So first off, I'm going to start with Omnia. I'm always going to go to the Omnia app to look and find where I'm at. So here's Sylvan Lake. The first thing that I want to look at is just the general geography of the lake. We can see we've got three major arms of the lake. We got 1, 2, and 3. We've got probably a dam up here because it looks like we got an outflow. So next thing that I'm going to do is just kind of understand where I'm at on the lake. Got a couple islands, got some narrow choke points in here where fish are moving between. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the contours of the lake. So we're going to zoom in and kind of get a feel for what it is we're looking at. So up here in the deeper section of the lake, it looks like we got a max depth of about 20 feet, which means that this is a shallow body of water. Looking through the whole lake here, some deeper 10-foot holes in here, some deeper 20 to 24-foot holes in this part of the lake, but it looks like generally speaking we are looking at a super shallow body of water. Now that's going to kind of inform my decision making. Probably going to leave the deep stuff at home, probably going to be targeting shallow bass around a lot of cover. Right now, that's just the first step. The next step that I kind of want to do is I want to begin to eliminate water where I don't think the fish are. So I got a kind of feeling for the general depth. I have a feeling we're going to be fishing in the 6 to 8 foot range quite a bit in the late summer. Next thing we're going to do is look at the vegetation map, and it doesn't look like a lot of the lake is covered. A lot of times with shallow lake, you're going to get a total coverage of vegetation. So what I'm looking at here are grass patches and lines. I tend to be a better deep water angler than a shallow water angler. At least it's what I like to look at. So what I'm looking at here is these patches of grass scattered throughout the lake, and they're emergent, they're submergent, we don't know yet. Anywhere that you find a big blanket like this is going to be like pads, weeds, everything all the way up to the top, choked off like you're fishing frogs there. So we're eliminating a lot of water simply by looking and getting an understanding of what we got. So we've got kind of a channel that runs through this lake. We're definitely going to have some scattered vegetation around in here, but the two things that interest me, number one, I like access to deep water. Here we've got the deepest water in the lake. This is going to be the most stable part of the lake. We've got a nice main lake hump here with vegetation on the backside up into 5 feet of water. So where I'm going to probably start my day are on these first couple islands and humps out here by the dam. So right here I see a nice transition point right here, a nice transition point right here that has present vegetation on it. Then I see a nice island right here with present vegetation. We go down, we got another point with vegetation. We've got some spots over here. The first thing that I'm going to check 1, 2, 3, 4 spots right here first thing in the morning to see if I can find fish on these defined structures, because It's easier to eliminate this water right here than it is to go hunting for them in the deeper vegetation. So my first 3 starting spots would be right here. So the baits I'm going to use to check those spots, definitely going to be the jerk bait. In the summertime, it is a fantastic way to hook up with active fish over structure related things. And jerkbait in 6 to 8 foot of water is going to kill this time of the year. Here Sam is throwing the Shimano World Minnow with flash boost. We really like that lure. It does a great job for us. Also be careful swinging jerkbait fish in the boat. Sometimes they will get off. The key thing that you want to remember here is cadence. If the water is warm, you can start with an active cadence, maybe, no pauses in there, just steady jerks, pop, 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 pop. Then you can add a 3-second pause, you can add a 4-second pause. Really hit these different ledges and different humps from different angles. The current can push fish around, but the World Minnow does a great job of getting bit. Largemouth love it. It's a fantastic way to kind of contact fish and make sure that they are there and active and feeding. If they're not hitting the jerkbait, then it's a good idea to step to a different, less active bait. If you have 2 guys fishing, it's a good idea to change it up and have one guy throw a less active bait. I'm throwing a drop shot here. And a drop shot is a great follow-up bait because it's very subtle, it's unassuming. Also, a drop shot's going to get bit anywhere. Remember, we're trying to establish a pattern here. So, yeah, you could throw a Texas rig. Yeah, you could throw a lot of stuff. Drop shot is my confidence bait. I know it's going to get bit almost in every situation that you can fish it when you're fishing deep structure and when you're working and feeling your way around with a tungsten weight. A drop shot's just going to get you bit. It's something that I have a lot of confidence in. Up north, it works great. Down south, it works great. You just change the size of the offering that you are throwing. So jerkbait and a drop shot are some of my favorite baits for getting it done on deep structure in the morning. If they're not biting that, you can move to a jig, you can move to a Texas rigged worm, you can move to a bubble shot, you can do all kinds of stuff. But I have confidence in these 2 presentations to really close the deal for me and let me know if we are around fish. Active fish love to eat the jerkbait. Non-active fish will eat the drop shot, and it will let you know where the fish are. After I've considered those kind of first 3 starting spots, I'm going to dive into looking at the bottom hardness of the lake. Where you get the red color, you get a harder level of bottom. Where you get the yellow cover, it's softer bottom. And the things that I really like to see right here, number one, I'm really enjoying the fact that we've got vegetation and hard spots on these points. You can see hard spot here, hard spot here. It's kind of a softer point over there. Out here on this island, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hard spots out here. So literally what I like to see in this lake right here there are existing hard bottom areas that are going to concentrate fish in this transitional period. As we look throughout the whole chain of the lake here, we've got a lot of hard spots in these shallow areas, and you're going to have to decide between hard spots and vegetation, looks like, on this lake. But this is also an interesting feature here. We've got a kind of what you would call an underwater ledge or a chain of hard spots right here. That could be an interesting thing to check out if fish are going to be offshore. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Keep that rod tip low. Keep that rod tip low. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Bring it this way. Choked it. Well, there we go. Woo. Dang, gone. That is gone.
I said he choked it.
I think I know what we're doing the rest of the time. That is gone. Gone. How do you feel now? You feel
I feel
good?
a little better.
Absolutely choked.
He might have ate it a second or 2 before I realized he was there.
Gosh. That is a chunk of a smallmouth right there, friends. Bump him. He's gonna go 16 and a half. Another nice smallie. There's no better bait for checking out hard spots offshore than the Megabass Dark Sleeper and Donko. It just gets bit everywhere. largemouth, smallmouth eat it under docks everywhere, but hard spots, you can get that down. You can root it around in there. It looks like a crawfish or a minnow feeding. Bass are going to eat it no matter what. Water clarity, you just use a darker colored dark sleeper, it's going to get bit. Think of it like a jig, but it's going to generate more bites for you than the jig would in the late summer. A great bait to fish, awesome way to catch them. Largemouth, smallmouth spots, they're all going to eat the dark sleeper. I very much encourage you to try it out on hard spots in the lakes that you're fishing.
Step, slow down.
Yep. Like that?
Like that. Chill out. Got one! Dark sleeper.
So we need to fish deeper.
Yeah, they're out there on that color line. He's a pretty fish.
Yeah, he's broke.
Now, after I have an understanding of the hard spots and the kind of the existing grass structure, I'm going to go to Google Maps here. And what I'm going to do on Google Maps is really get an understanding for the lay of the land. Now that I understand where hard spots and where structure is, I want to look at boat docks. I want to look at existing structure patterns that are in the lake. Here we've got a nice riprap dam that goes to an outflow, right? And that can be big. Here we've got a nice island that has access to deep water with some docks around. Those might be the first docks that I check. Looking this way, we can see we've got a lot of ins and outs, a lot of docks. Channels, anywhere there's channels where you go between lakes is a great spot to check. I know if I'm going to fish shallow, anywhere I can find access for bass to camp out and let stuff come to them is a good section to look at. We've got these islands in here. The islands seem to have one or two access points on them, if any. And we can see here that we've got some houses with some islands. We've got basically uninhabited land here, which can be key. We've got some pads and different things, so we just want to be aware of the things that are available for us to fish. If I'm going to fish pad fields, I really like pad fields with access to in and out. Fish will sit on these boat docks and feed in these pads. That's a good thing to know. We know that this is all choked off back here, so it's going to be hard to find fish in there. You can if it's really hot and dirty, but it's, once again, it's harder to find fish in these mats and pads if you want to. So the first thing that I'm going to do on this island is check those. If I can get bit in the morning on structure, I'm going to get bit. As the day gets hotter, I'm going to work my way through some of the docks to see if I can get a bite there. If the lake gets super busy and it gets crazy, that's when you break out the flipping stick and the frogging rod, right? I'm going to flip in here into these pads where they're have more access to deep water. Frogging anything. If you look up here, you've got some decent frogging and flipping opportunities here. Now, the outflow of any lake is always a good idea, the outflow and the inflow, because water is moving through this. So if you are going to flip somewhere, these are good spots to flip. So right there, I've generated kind of the day in perspective in the summertime, and that's kind of how I aggressively look at where I'm going to fish. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, head to Omnia, hit our links and help support us there. We'll see you out there next time, guys. Thanks for hanging out.